Jeff Berwick.
Okay, and I've seen you around YouTube. Can you explain to me what is it that you're known about? You're known about markets, finance, what gold, investing.
Well, I started the Dollar Vigilante in 2010, and the tagline is surviving and prospering during and after the dollar collapse. So I talk a lot about how central banking is a scam. I come from a very anarcho-capitalist perspective, so I talk about we got to get rid of governments as well. That's really my background, and then I've branched off. I started a show called Anarchast, and now I have our conference in Acapulco going to its sixth year next year with about 3,000 people.
So you believe that what? This is similar to Peter Schiff. I've seen him at the Money Show. The U.S. economy is really bad today. Although I will agree with that to a certain extent, and probably not to the same extent that you do. That the dollar is going to collapse, and it's time to get into precious metals, right?
And cryptocurrency.
Oh, cryptocurrency. So does that include like Bitcoin and all
Yes.
these other fellas? Okay. So here's what I will agree. I think the economy is due for a downturn.
Yes.
2020, 2021. But you see this as a dollar collapse. Now, I don't mean to kind of ridicule you, but you guys have been saying dollar collapse for about 10 years now.
Well, I started.
Hearing this from Peter Schiff,
Yep.
2009, 2010, when I was in high school. But as you know, the dollar index has gone from the 70s and 80s, and now it's into the 90s and 100s. So can you explain to me what has happened?
Well, I can't speak for Peter Schiff. I actually disagree with him on a number of things, including cryptocurrency. But I started the Dollar Vigilante in 2010, and I said by the end of this decade, we'll see fiat currencies all start to collapse. Now, I have a year left on that. I could be off by a couple years, but if you really look at the numbers, this system's going down. And, you point out, like, I'm not saying the economy's horrible. Obviously, there's a lot of things happening. That's an economy, right? There's a lot of people in Las Vegas, they're all spending money and all that. But a lot of that's because of all the money printing from the central banks. And that's the thing about money printing that's really funny or kind of interesting is that people feel richer when they print more money, but you eventually get to a point like Venezuela or Zimbabwe or Argentina where the currency hyperinflates and becomes worthless, and that's where we're headed.
We have expanded the supply.
Yes. Well, you haven't, but the Federal Reserve has.
That's what
I don't like the word weed.
But the Federal Reserve, or whatever system we have, the banks creating credit,
Yes.
has expanded the money supply.
Yes.
But our inflation rate has been between 3 to 10% every year. And I don't think a lot of that inflation is just really central bank. There could be a number of reasons. There could be lack of construction and housing, which causes prices to go up, corporate consolidation. There's a lot of other factors that causes inflation. So,
Well, the main thing that actually causes inflation is money printing. Obviously, prices can rise and they can fall without inflation. You can have a good economy and prices just rise naturally. But what we're seeing is money printing that, and you pointed out the inflation rate. The U.S. government has their CPI data, which is all lies. And actually, you can't really add up the value of everything in an economy and come up with a number. Like, it's really a BS number. But what they always come up with is about 2 or 3%. And you mentioned 10%. That's a lot closer to the truth. If you actually look at the amount of money printing, it's been about 10% now every year since 2008. So the money supply has actually tripled or quadrupled in the last 10 years. And that's going to speed up because they can't actually slow down. If they slow down, we'll have something worse than the Great Depression, like times 100. And so we're either going to go into incredibly horrible depression or hyperinflation.
So I think we will have economic problems. And first of all, I can say that an economic downturn will be good for parts of the world, U.S. and Las Vegas, because I think we need it.
Markets do need downturns.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about central banks is they try to make it so there's never any downturn.
Inflated home prices, student loan debt crisis.
Yes.
And we do have a lot of problems. But now here's a few things I want to get across, though. I have not been into precious metals or those other asset classes you've talked about. I've been in a NASDAQ ETF for several years. I will stay in that NASDAQ ETF long term in the next several years. I will get out at least for maybe 10 months, 15 months, because it's due for a downturn. But
Well, it's funny because if we enter into hyperinflation, what's the Nasdaq at? 5,000 or something,
I
right?
cannot see hyperinflation. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to disagree.
Well, no, that's baked in the cake. That's math. Do some research on money and economics and math. It has to happen at a certain point. You can't keep printing money. That's what inflation is. So you're in NASDAQ. Yeah, you can see the NASDAQ at 50,000 in 3 years. But a Big Mac will cost $100.
Well, if we have hyperinflation, this strip economy, isolated in the desert, is going to fail.
Lots of things can fail. Yeah.
And
I could see Las Vegas not existing in 20 years. I could see that.
Well, but
It's
there are
possible.
many articles that from the same similar camp as you were, they said Las Vegas was going to die, but we see Las Vegas is still, once again, one of the most fastest growing city, although the growth has been pretty dismal compared to the last 2 decades.
Yeah, I'm no expert on Las Vegas. I don't know if it's going to exist 20 years from now, but it's totally possible it might not.
But this is one of the things, because you talk about doom and gloom. Maybe this
I'm
is
not.
why-
I'm talking about peace and prosperity.
Right, but I'm talking about the economy. So,
I don't see it as a bad thing that this economy and this money system goes down.
right, but what I'm pointing out is that your economic views, your camp with the same buy gold, dollar's going to fall, is kind of different from the camp of the alt-right, the Tucker Carlsons, the alt-right, these organizations that are talking about mass immigration, demographic collapse. First of all, do you see immigration being in jeopardy because of the economy? I think we can see that. And do you think immigration is problematic, as they say, along with demographic?
Well, I'm an anarcho-capitalist. I don't believe in governments. I believe that we're all human beings. And when you say immigration, I just call that traveling. And how do we stop people from traveling? You don't. So I don't look at it that way at all. There's no immigration issue in my mind. There is in certain respects.
Bad management.
From a statist perspective, I can see why it's an issue, but for me, it's just people. And if they want to go somewhere, why are you trying to stop them?
Well, that's true, but if you have an economic system and you have a lot of different factors that are used against the American people, then that is a problem. So here in Las Vegas, we have like half of the casino jobs, it seems like, that are done by immigrants, but they're 14% of America's population. And then the other issue is that it affects their schools, and then they're heavily unionized, and we know that these were the same people that pumped Harry Reid and all these larger government, higher tax, less freedom politicians like we have today. So this is part of the problem. We see that immigration is a plot to not only destroy America, but the entire Western world.
Yes.
And to change our culture.
Yes,
we see
I agree.
with the birth rates, as I interviewed Mr. Werrell, and the other thing is we get all this changes of our population, and this is why we see these events like Charlottesville, because it's human nature. We like to be with people like ourselves. Like my parents' country, Iran, they would be pissed if Africans started flooding into Tehran.
They may be pissed, but as long as, it's a very complicated question what you're asking. You're saying it's going to destroy the school systems. Good. The government school systems are horrible. You're like, they're going to overwhelm our welfare system. Good. Welfare system sucks.
Get rid of public education.
Get rid of all the government, and everything's fine. See, that you're coming from a statist perspective, and when you're in that mindset, everything gets really complicated. It's like, how do we control this or stop this? Just let life happen. And, in general, everything's going to be fine.
Yeah. So you're not really panicking. You're pretty laid back.
Totally good.
Because your tone is kind of like different from Peter Schiff. Like, he kind of gets all anxious and nervous, but you just use your words, and then people feel it deep down inside. And I kind of noticed that. But anyway, we'd like to thank you for having the interview. Oh, and one last thing. There's a lot of people out there who've done negative videos about you. This is not my word. They say that you guys are selling fear, selling products, pumping this and that. What do you say about that? There are people like Mike Status. There are people like all these individuals out there who've created these different YouTube channels and have debunked you. What do you say about that?
Have I been debunked? I haven't seen any of them, but when you become popular enough, you're always going to have some detractors. So people attack you, right? What did you say they call me? I'm a doom and gloomer. What did you say? I forget.
Doom and gloom.
But you said something else. Oh, pumping and selling products? Yes, I'm an anarcho-capitalist. I have a financial newsletter. So if you like this information I'm giving to you and you want more, I have a product. And if you'd like to buy it, you can, and I'll give you more information. You don't have to. I'm not ashamed to make some money from what I'm doing. I'm a narco-capitalist. I think everyone should make some money. I hope your YouTube channel makes money. I hope whatever you're doing, it might not, but I hope it does. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So if some people are attacking me saying, oh, he's just making money, well, I'm sorry, that's a good thing.
Right, but they mean like you're making money off of people that eventually experience losses and...
Oh, well, that's, my main business is financial newsletter. If most of my subscribers lose money, I don't have any subscribers anymore. So our subscribers keep growing because they're making money. I've recommended Bitcoin at $3. So
well, we will share this information with the opposition or the people who disagree.
Feel free.
And like I said, I will have disagreements with you
Sure.
with my investments, but I think this is the beautiful part about our society.
Totally.
And I think this day of age, I think we have one side that has gone too far, calling people racist, bigots. I think that some of us have been called that, like Tucker Carlson. They don't debate the facts, they just like use labeling. But anyway, thank you so much. What's your name again and your organization?
Jeff Berwick of the Dollar Vigilante and Anarcho-Poco Conference.
Thank you so much. Great pleasure.
Thank you.